individuals committing some of the most heinous and horrendous acts imaginable.
CArlitos Way
These are 5
World
terrifying
TV.
criminals from the 90s.
Watching YouTube videos.
Number 5, Chester Turner. During the 80s and 90s, at least 5 serial killers operated in southern Los Angeles. But out of them, Chester Turner is one of the most prolific the city had ever seen. Between 1987 and 1998, Turner murdered 11 people. Born in Warren, Arkansas, he moved to LA when he was just 5 years old. He dropped out of high school but stayed in LA, jumping from one homeless shelter to another after his mother left for Utah. It was here when he started his killing spree. Many of Turner's victims were found within a 4-block radius, running from both sides of Figueroa Street and between Gage Avenue and 108th Street. The first victim found was 21-year-old Diane Johnson on March 9, 1987. She was discovered half naked, sexually assaulted, and strangled. Months later, a passing motorist found the body of 26-year-old Annette Ernest by the highway. In January of '89, another body was found in the area, that of 31-year-old Anita Fishman. Turner also killed another woman in September of the same year. 27-year-old Regina Washington was found strangled. Her body located in a detached garage of a vacant home. During the investigation, police discovered she was 6 months pregnant at the time of her death. Turner killed 2 more women in 1993, Andrea Triplett and Desiree Jones, both of whom were strangled. He killed 2 more in 1995 and 96. There were also victims killed outside the Figueroa Street corridor and attributed to Turner, and these were Paula Vance and Brenda Breeze. Between 1995 to 2000, Turner was sent to jail 6 times for various crimes, including an assault of an officer and cruelty to an animal. By March of 2002, he had raped a woman and held her for 2 hours, threatening to kill her if she told police. He let her go, and she eventually did report the incident, and Turner was sentenced to 8 years in prison. He was required to submit a DNA sample, and it was here that his DNA was matched to the deaths of Vance and a 45-year-old woman named Mildred Beasley. Her body had been discovered partially nude and strangled off the 101 freeway in 1996. Detectives carefully examined Turner's background and linked him to 11 murders in total. As a result, a convicted part-time janitor, David Allen Jones, was also released and exonerated for serving time for crimes done by Turner that he had been jailed for. On June of 2014, Turner was convicted of an additional 4 murders, bringing his total kill count to 15. Chester received a death sentence on June 26, 2014, and is currently sitting on death row. Number 4, Alexander Pichushkin. Considered as one of the most deranged and prolific serial killers in Russian history, Alexander Sasha Pichushkin is known as the chessboard killer and the Bitsa Park maniac, since he killed almost all his victims at the Besevsky Park in Moscow. Little is known about his early life, but his mother said he suffered a head injury at the age of 4 when he was struck in the forehead by a swing. As he got older, he was bullied for being slow. However, his grandfather noticed he was extremely intelligent and took him in. He taught him how to play chess, and they regularly visited Bitsa Park to play exhibition games against the elderly men there. Playing the game seemed to channel the teen's aggression. However, his grandfather died unexpectedly, and that's when Alexander had to move back home. To dull the pain of loss, he began drinking vodka. It's believed Alexander committed his first murder at the age of 18 in 1992. He killed the boyfriend of a neighbor he had fallen in love with. Many believe he also killed the girl, Olga, since her body was found in Bitsa Park in 2002. After that, he didn't kill again until 2001, but this would be the start of a 5-year killing spree. From 2001 to 2006, he played chess regularly in Bitsa Park. Afterwards, he would invite these homeless elderly gentlemen for a drink of vodka, usually in a quiet area of the park. Alexander waited until his victims were intoxicated. Then he would attack them with a blow to the head using a hammer or pipe. Sometimes he would push them into a sewer pit, and other times just leave them where they lie. Some victims survived, but most died, and over time he became more savage. It wasn't enough to bludgeon his victims, so he started leaving behind a broken vodka bottle sticking out of their skulls. By 2003, newspaper headlines proclaimed a fear of the Bitsevsky maniac. In 2006, this killer was working at a supermarket alongside 36-year-old Marina Moskolyova. When her body turned up dead in the park, police found a metro ticket in her pocket. This led to a surveillance tape capturing Marina with Alexander prior to her death. On top of that, Marina also left a note for her son containing Alexander's full name and the place where they were meeting in case of an emergency. Pichushkin was finally arrested. When police searched his apartment, they discovered a chessboard containing dates on 62 of the 64 squares on the board. The dates indicated the time when he murdered or killed someone, and he was only 2 murders away from completing the board. Despite this, he was only charged with 51 counts of murder and later on guided police to where he killed his victims in the park. In October of 2007, the jury deliberated for 3 hours before finding Alexander guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison, with the first 15 years in solitary confinement. With the heinous and despicable nature of his crimes, it caused a renewed interest in Russia reinstituting the death penalty. Number 3. Herb Baumeister. To the townspeople of Westfield, Indiana, Herb Baumeister was a successful entrepreneur and family man. The oldest of 4 children, he was considered normal during childhood, but by adolescence, something inside him had changed. His father, a doctor, sent his son for tests, and Herb was diagnosed as schizophrenic with a multiple personality disorder. It's unclear if he received treatment, but by college he was still an outcast due to his odd behavior. However, it was here that he met his future wife, Juliana Sater. After being fired from a 10-year-long job in 1979, Herb was looking for work. Juliana returned to the workforce while Herb watched the children. Unknown to his wife, it was then that Herb began frequenting gay bars. The next 3 years saw him bouncing from job to job until he landed a gig at a thrift shop. He studied it carefully, and soon he and Juliana opened their first Save-A-Lot thrift store. It was a success, and after 3 years, the couple were fairly well off. They moved to their dream home in 1991, dubbed as Fox Hollow Farms. But as the business grew, the marriage began falling apart. Juliana and their 3 children would often stay at her mother's place instead of at home. Soon the business began crumbling too, and Herb started drinking heavily. At the same time, Indiana police were tracking down missing persons and possible murders in Indianapolis. Former Marion County Sheriff Virgil Vandegrift was among the first to believe the possibility that there was a serial killer hunting gay men. The parents of Roger Goodlett, who was 32, and 28-year-old Alan Broussard had reported the men missing after they had headed out to a gay bar. After searching for clues, Vandegrift met a man named Tony Harris, who told the story of meeting a man named Brian Smart at a bar, and he suspected that this guy killed his friend Roger. Harris had gone home with Smart one night and said that Smart attempted to kill him during an autoerotic asphyxiation session. But since he didn't take the drinks offered by Smart and was larger in build, he didn't pass out and left the place alive. He couldn't recall or fully remember the area where he was taken, but described it as having an indoor pool with mannequins around. Vandegrift also became aware of multiple missing men aside from Goodlett and Broussard, who disappeared in Indianapolis over the last few years. He also found out about the I-70 murders. Between 1989 and 1990, multiple bodies, 9 men to be exact, were dumped along the I-70 highway between Ohio and Indianapolis. One eyewitness identified Herb Baumeister as being seen with one of the victims in the I-70 murders. Vandegrift got the local Indiana police involved. By chance, Harris met Smart once again in a gay bar in August of 1995. He noted his license plate number and gave this to an Indianapolis detective named Mary Wilson. The car led back, of course, to Herbert Baumeister, and police then approached him directly, telling him he was a suspect, and they asked to search his house. He refused. Juliana also refused, but by 1996, she gave police consent to search their 18-acre property while Baumeister was on vacation. When they approached the backyard area, it was clear the pebbles and fragments on the ground where the children played weren't rocks, but bone fragments. A total of 5,500 of them were found on the property. It's estimated the fragments belonged to 11 different men, but only 4 could be positively identified as belonging to Roger Goodlett, Stephen Hale, Richard Hamilton, and Manuel Resendez. Once news of the bones at his home was broadcasted, Baumeister disappeared. He crossed into Canada, and on July 3, 1996, his body was found inside his vehicle at Pinery Provincial Park in Ontario. He had shot himself in the head. He left a 3-page suicide note citing his failing business and marriage as the reason for suicide, but never mentioned any one of the murders. Later on, he was positively linked as being the I-70 murderer with the help of Juliana. She provided receipts for the times when Baumeister traveled through the highway and out of town, and police matched this with the murder dates. Officially, Herb Baumeister killed 27 men, and it's likely he had many more victims. Number 2, Michael Fourniret. A French national, Michael Fourniret was in his 60s and lived with his wife, Monique, and their baby son in a stunning historical home dubbed as the Castle of Ardennes, located in Ardennes, France. Between 1987 and 2001, Michael stalked and killed 9 people and left a multitude of molestation victims in his wake. Born in Ardennes, France, he was problematic since his early childhood. The son of a metal worker and farmer, Michael had an above-average IQ, liked to play chess and listen to classical music. As an adult, he married but shifted jobs until he got his first conviction for rape and the assault of minors. He was 24 years old at the time, and it ended his first marriage. He married again and had 3 children, but the marriage dissolved after he was arrested again for rape and the assault of minors. While serving prison time, he placed an ad in a Catholic magazine asking for a pen pal. It was answered by Monique Olivier, a nurse and mom of 3. She made Michael promise to kill her husband, and in turn, she said she would help him hunt virgins. Michael never fulfilled his end of the bargain, but Olivier did. So, by the time Michael was released from prison in 1987, Olivier was waiting for him. About 2 months later, the couple's crime spree began. On December 11, 1987, using separate vehicles, the 2 targeted 17-year-old Isabella Laville. With Olivier faking to ask for direction, she lured the girl into her car and took her to where Michael was waiting by the road while he pretended his car had broken down. When Olivier offered to give him a ride, he got inside the car and then choked Laville with a rope while Olivier injected her with Rohypnol. They brought the girl home where Michael raped and strangled her. They then threw her body down an unused well, and she wasn't recovered until 2006. In 1988, Michael was contacted by Farida Hamich, the wife of his former prison cellmate Jean-Pierre. See, Jean-Pierre was a bank robber and stashed their loot in a secret location, so his wife asked Michael for help in retrieving the stash composed of gold coins. He did, and she gave him 500,000 francs for the troubles. Weeks later, on April 12th, Michael and Olivier decided they would steal the remaining loot from Farida's apartment. They lured her for a drive and then killed her. The couple took the money and bought the now famous Chateau des Soutou in Donchery. As for Farida's body, that's never been found. The couple continued on with their tag team murder streak. Even when Olivier was pregnant with their child, she still assisted in luring girls. After their child was born, there was also evidence they brought him along during their abductions. Their last known murder together was in November of 1990, where they abducted and killed 13-year-old Natasha Danis. Another man was falsely accused and arrested for this crime. After a supposed 10-year break from killing and abducting, Michael moved his family to Belgium, where he killed 2 more young girls. In June of 2003, he was finally arrested after a failed abduction of a Belgian girl. He was held in detention and finally charged with murder when Olivier confessed to the police that she had assisted him in various abductions and murders. Michael was sentenced to life in prison without parole, while Olivier was sentenced to the same with the possibility of parole after 28 years. Although the official number of victims for these 2 sits at 9, It's believed they may have killed many more. Number 1. Cedric Make. In just 1 year between 1996 and 1997, Cedric Make terrorized Johannesburg, South Africa. Police were baffled when several murders and assaults started popping up in 2 different clusters. The Brixton Murder and Robbery Unit of the South African Police Service thought they were dealing with 2 different murderers, so they created 2 profiles based on the pattern. The first were for the Hammer murders. This killer attacked mostly Indian tailors coming from the inner city area. They attacked their victims inside their shops using a hammer. He would bludgeon them to death and sometimes steal items, but not always. The second profile had 2 distinct patterns within it. The first involved men and women who were ambushed as they walked alone and then were bludgeoned to death with large rocks. The second involved couples inside their cars in the Wemmer Pan area where the killer would shoot the men and rape the women. Despite the heavy investigation, the crimes baffled police until they finally found Make as a suspect for the Wemmer Pan murders in December of '97. His connection to the Hammer murders was discovered the following month when Make took Superintendent Pate Bilveld to a pawn shop where he had sold a victim's bicycle. On the receipt, Make used the name Patrick Mokwena. This same alias was found on one of the murdered tailor's receipts, wherein Make used the same alias to check in a shirt. His killings were the first to use geographic information systems and crime mapping technology to map out serial killings. During geographic profiling, it was discovered many of Make's murders were held in 2 of his residences, the area where he worked, and the residences of his girlfriend and brother. During the trial, Make was charged with 36 counts of murder, 28 attempted murders, 15 rapes, and 46 counts of aggravated robbery. Overall, of the 134 charges lobbied against him, he was found guilty of 114 of these. He was sentenced to 27 life sentences, including 1,159 years and 3 months in prison. So there were 5 terrifying criminals from the 90s. While these are just some of the worst criminals from that era, there are many others just like them. No matter where you look, during what time, each decade has its own horrifying serial monsters intent on killing and terrorizing victims. If you liked this video, then please remember to subscribe to our channel because every Wednesday and Saturday we have new videos coming out that we know you'll want to check out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. We have conducted a number of witness statements in relation to what's happened to poor Alex. Okay? Those statements include Monica, Raph, Gary. Okay? I've just talked to the officer in charge of the case, and he's told me to charge you with first-degree murder.
What?
Okay?
What?
Okay?
What the fuck?
Olivia, you know what happened in there. Olivia, you know what happened in there. Because you know and I know that this don't make sense. This don't make sense. Then goddamn it, tell me the truth. You know what happened in there. This don't add up.
Nothing's funny, man.
Funny?
Nobody's laughing.
That's funny.
Nobody's laughing.
He took my arm, he took the handle, and he put it through his head. Oh my god! Oh my god! He can't be gone!
The authoritarian power structure of any military institution retains a psychological emphasis that is imperative to how its inner systems operate. The hierarchical command creates a centralized authority that encompasses a vast amount of behavioral science and refinement. The armed forces systematically develops its officers to make dispassionate and strategically calculated decisions that in times of war will often have a dramatic impact on both the service personnel serving under their command and for the civilian population inhabiting the area of conflict. The importance of conformity and obedience is relentlessly ingrained into volunteers throughout indoctrination, and essentially forges a mindset that ensures the fast and accurate transmission of orders and communications. There is no room for error nor hesitation in the field of military operations, and total respect and acquiescence to any superior is essential. This is the reason enlisted personnel are commonly addressed by surnames or nicknames, whereas officers are recognized by rank. And the higher an officer climbs in the command structure, the greater the importance of these hierarchical monikers become. David Russell Williams enrolled in the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1987 and was soon promoted to captain by January 1st, 1991. From that moment on, he would have been addressed as Sir by his subordinates and Captain Williams by his superiors. Described as an elite pilot and shining bright star of the military, he quickly rose through the ranks and was promoted to colonel in June of 2004, while also being appointed the role of commanding officer at CFB Trenton, Canada's largest Air Force base. He was essentially in full command of over 7,000 military personnel, all of whom would have then referred to him as Colonel or Colonel Williams without exception. This would have afforded him an extensive amount of psychosocial equanimity and confidence, and wasn't exclusive to his work life. His designated title of colonel would have been printed on all forms of identification, and every formal encounter would sanctify this military standing. A doctor, lawyer, police officer, or any other figure of authority would recognize and comply to the traditional courtesy of addressing him by his professional rank, boosting his composure and self-assurance each and every time as his elevated social standing and military achievements were accentuated for all to see. There was one exception, however, and that was the day he met Detective Sergeant Jim Smith.
You just have a seat for us.
Before clarifying the psychological relevance as to why a senior detective would purposefully refrain from addressing a highly respected military commander by his formal title, first consolidate each of the elements and circumstances that led to the crossing of paths between these two profoundly dissimilar yet equally fascinating individuals. 10 days earlier, on January 28th of 2010, Andy Lloyd received a call from his mother around midday stating that his younger sister, 27-year-old Jessica Lloyd, had failed to show up to work and wasn't responding to phone calls or text messages. He immediately drove to her isolated home on Ontario's Highway 37 and discovered she wasn't there. There was no sign of a break-in, yet Jessica was known for leaving her doors unlocked, and all of her personal items were still inside the premises, including her phone, passport, and driver's license. Ottawa is known for its remarkably low crime rate and widely recognized as the safest city in Canada. The local authorities had resources to spare, and a missing persons investigation was launched immediately, which included an entire division from the Ottawa Police Force, over 2,000 members of the public, and even a specialist search and rescue unit from the Canadian Air Force. The word spread extremely fast across the city through the help of the media, and on the second day of Jessica's disappearance, an anonymous member of the public came forward with vital information. He stated that while driving home from work the night before, at roughly 3 a.m., he drove past Jessica's house and noticed an SUV parked in a field just a short distance away. He stated that he remembered feeling that something just seemed off, as it was parked in such an unusual area at such a late hour, and he had drove past the premises thousands of times before and not once seen the vehicle before that moment. Police immediately canvassed the area in question, where they found tire tracks in the field and boot prints leading up to Jessica's house. They had attained their first two significant pieces of evidence, which then became the foundation for the next stages of the investigation. Police immediately set up 6 roadblocks throughout the surrounding area and stopped every SUV that passed in the hope of finding a match to the tire tracks. They reportedly stopped over 200 vehicles over the next 4 days, yet had no luck, and were on the verge of reassigning their manpower from the roads to conduct foot patrols in off-road areas and pathways. However, at roughly 7:30 p.m. on February 4th, their luck did a full 180, as the sports utility vehicle of Colonel Russell Williams was stopped. He was reportedly polite and nonchalant about what he thought was a routine traffic procedure, and was sent on his way after just 90 seconds. Unbeknownst to him, he was immediately placed under police surveillance from that moment on, as his tires came up as a complete match to the tracks found in the field near Jessica Lloyd's house. house. 2 days later, on Sunday, February the 7th, he received a call from police headquarters in Ottawa asking him to visit the premises for the purpose of answering questions in relation to an ongoing investigative matter. The colonel didn't inquire further and agreed to drop into the police station immediately. He reportedly told his wife that he would be back for dinner before setting off and arrived at the headquarters shortly before 3 p.m., where he was greeted by Detective Sergeant Jim Smith, a trained polygraph technician and senior investigator of the Policing Behavioral Sciences Unit.
You just have a seat, girls. I'm just going to move your gloves here. That's a little microphone, just to make sure there's nice and clear. As you can see here. This room's videotaped and audio taped. You ever been interviewed by the police in a room like this before?
I have never been interviewed.
Oh no? Okay.
I guess the closest to interview by NIS for top secret clearance.
Oh yeah?
There are 3 types of security clearance for all military institutions serving under NATO: confidential, secret, and the highest being top secret, which is what the colonel just specified. This takes roughly 8 months to be cleared for, and only a very select few are given this level of jurisdiction, as unauthorized disclosure of top secret information could cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. It took just over 40 seconds for the colonel to remind the detective of who he was, and just how important he was. It's a testament to his self-conceited air of invincibility, and just how assured he felt in the present situation.
All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in.
The gasconade is casually acknowledged, yet quickly brushed to one side by the detective, followed by the informal address to the subject using his first name. He immediately sets the stage for the interview and takes the colonel down from his elevated platform for the sole purpose of stripping away confidence. This increases the telling signs in body language and intonation when information is fabricated, and also decreases cognitive stamina, lessening the amount of time an individual can keep a facade before they essentially break. Placing the subject on an even platform also allows for the investigator to both exercise and mystify his own powers, which will serve a significant purpose during the later stages of the interrogation. This is all done in a manner that demoralizes the subject, while at the same time maintains an appropriate level of rapport, and gives reason for the detective's non-confrontational disposition.
An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville Way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So again, I appreciate it. We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today. Okay. And the reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again and again. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you. Okay. I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you. So.
No, I appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
I could definitely, are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar. All right, and again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough. But again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I don't ask you to do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are. Okay? Just like everybody else. Okay. Have you ever read your rights before? No. I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version. So I'll go over with you briefly. Okay. Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that you're obviously not under arrest here today. Okay. Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want. Okay.
Although the subject was free to leave at any time, there was a very subtle yet highly effective subconscious strategy set in place to try to stop this from happening. The detective has sat between Russell and the door. You will see this method utilized in almost every interrogation, as it's a subliminal message essentially telling the subject, if you want out of this room, you have to go through me. It's been argued that this can act as an imperative emotional barrier that has often prevented many suspects from leaving these areas of which they are most vulnerable and susceptible to incrimination.
If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you feel you want to talk to a lawyer about, you just let me know, okay? And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here, okay? Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating, okay? And essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay.
During 2009, there were 34 break-ins and attempted break-ins in the quiet town of Orleans, Ottawa, resulting in the theft of hundreds of intimate female garments, 1 incident of rape, and 1 incident of forcible confinement. All of these occurrences took place not far from the home of Russell Williams, who is now the prime suspect for each of these infractions at the time of his interrogation.
In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Como, was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well.
Corporal Marie-France Como was a 37-year-old military traffic technician based at CFB Trenton. She was raped and suffocated to death inside her home in late November of 2009, which the colonel was also the prime suspect for at this moment.
And then most recently we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay. So essentially, when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges, right? We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement, okay? And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right? And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need to want to speak to a lawyer, you let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private, okay? Is there any reason you want to call a lawyer now?
No.
Okay.
These first two attacks happened not that far from my place in Tweed. Well, the second one did.
Yeah.
We didn't even know the first one had happened, but I understand that was reasonably close as well. But the second one was very close.
Yeah.
So certainly at the time, the OPP did a door-to-door.
Yeah.
And within a couple of days, probably the same night. So I spoke with a couple guys then.
The analysis of vocal intonation is a tricky thing when dealing with interrogations, as it cannot be used as evidence in court. Yet intuition would give many the sense that discomposure is emanating from the Colonel at this moment. The way he is speaking comes across as slightly nervous and unsure. He would appear to most as being agitated in the manner he is both processing information and communicating his responses. This type of cognitive recognition is a difficult thing to articulate into words, and investigators simply characterize it as gut instinct, which Detective Jim Smith would have no doubt been feeling at this moment. He would have been almost certain that the man sitting before him was guilty simply by the way he was talking, quiet with a hint of nervousness, incongruent with how a military commander would normally carry himself.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases. And essentially, Russell, in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay. Those 4 cases are of concern to us, and you know, you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams, okay? Because essentially, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
And then I guess I drive past, yes, I would have to say there's a connection, yeah.
The Colonel is asked to state his movements and activity over the past 4 days, which is known in forensic psychology as gathering pretext. The detective wants to get an initial alibi from the suspect before the confrontational phase of the interrogation begins. This is the most calm a state that he intends to keep Russell in before he ramps up the pressure, and a more relaxed suspect often results in more detailed pretext, thus more information to scrutinize and correlate with any changes made at a later stage.
Friday on the day, I was at home most of the time. Most of the day, I had a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed?
Tweed.
In Tweed?
Tweed is a village in Ontario where the Colonel had a second vacation home located roughly 125 miles from his house in Ottawa.
Okay. So we backtrack then. So all day Friday, you're at home.
Yeah.
And then what time do you leave to go to the base to sleep there on the Friday night?
Not sure. Probably just went in for just before bed. I probably left Tweed between 8 and 9 or so.
Okay. And you get to the base and spend the evening there and get up for the 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay. So we backtrack from there. When did you arrive at your home at the cottage? I don't want to get confused between your home in Ottawa and the home in Tweed. So,
no, I had been in Tweed all week.
Yeah.
The week prior now. Yeah, I think that's the case. Was in Tweed all week. Flew Saturday. Headed to Ottawa Saturday night.
Okay. So, if you didn't have the stomach flu on the Friday, what was your schedule that day? Okay.
What was it in my schedule? Just a standard schedule in the office.
Okay.
So, office brief in the morning, a couple of meetings. I can't remember what the specifics were going to be.
Okay, so Thursday night you slept at Tweed, or you?
Yeah.
All right. And what did you do Thursday during the day?
Thursday during the day, I was at the base again. I think it was a fairly standard day. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, nothing. I was not fine, so I was at the base. So I would have gone in early in the morning, back in the evening again.
Okay.
The method of gathering pretext is then focused on the murder of Marie France Como.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to walk you through November, but I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind. The day that Marie France Como. Do you remember how you found out?
I do. Yeah, I was sent an email. Well, as soon as the off staff and the base learned, they told me. Okay. So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night or early in the morning, but certainly I saw it. I want to say first thing in the morning because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously when your people gets killed, it gets your attention. So
Absolutely.
I'm very much remember that coming out.
And how did you know Marie France Como?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew. I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
Though we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah.
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Now, you got that email notifying you that something had happened.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a clear recollection as to how your schedule was going that week?
Well, I can't remember what day that the message came in. Just a second. No, I can't remember what day it did, but I'm just thinking there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result, obviously. I can't remember the day of the week.
This was the third time in quick succession the colonel stated that he couldn't remember the answer to the question. A normal interaction between two parties would most often elicit the person posing the question to reassure the individual it was directed at. Statements along the lines of, "Don't worry if you can't remember, we'll move on," or "It was a long time ago, it must be difficult to recollect," would be afforded as a form of consolation and to also break the uncomfortable silence. Even during a legitimate witness statement, some form of emotional assistance or encouragement will often be given, especially to someone in the midst of recollecting a distressing moment or time period from the past. On this occasion, there is no such reassurance from the detective whatsoever, only a stoic gaze and not a single shift in body posture during the moments of silence.
I'm just trying to think through the news reports I read. No, I'm sorry, I can't remember what day that was, but what we learned after the fact was that the MPs had learned of her death, I think quite a bit after her body had been discovered.
Okay.
So I think what happened, sorry, just a second.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
Absolutely.
did this?
No.
Okay.
It'll be very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is it? You seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off some alarm bells in an investigation, right? Okay. So the next thing we need to cover off is, well, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation.
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what is known in both psychology and philosophy as a crossroad, a moment in your life when a single and often instantaneous decision you make will take you on one of two exceedingly diverging paths in your journey. The only two pieces of evidence that police had acquired at this point in time were the tire tracks and the footprints outside the missing person's residence. What many are unaware of is that the DNA found on Marie France Como was not admissible, as her body was highly decomposed at the time of discovery, thus making any genetic analysis virtually impossible, as this was before the era of the latest DNA testing method known as next-generation sequencing. Only one of the sexual assault victims had male DNA found on the back of her neck, yet this was by far the least severe attack, which falls into the bracket of forcible confinement, and had no exterior elements connected to the more serious infractions of murder and rape. The evidence of the tire tracks would be easily refuted by a defense team, as they were a relatively common brand for off-road vehicles, which would extinguish the BRD standard of proof, also known as guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. The only significant piece of evidence were the footprints. It was the singular and emblematic element linked to the culpability of Jessica Lloyd's disappearance, and notice how the colonel looks down at his own boots as he gives his response to the following request.
Footwear impressions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Okay. Trying to be as discreet as possible. Okay. But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay. And it's not issues that point away from you; it's issues that point at you. Okay. And I want you to see what I mean. All right. This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay. Essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints, okay?
All of the previous affirmations were fabricated for the sole purpose of heightening psychological pressure. Footprints are not even close to being as indistinguishable nor incriminating as fingerprints, and although footwear and tire track examiners exist and undergo extensive training, there were none on the premises at that time, and John Norman was in fact a regular police officer who simply printed out the images just 2 doors away from the interrogation room.
This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons, okay? You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through, there's several different prints to compare, so we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare.
Yeah.
These are identical. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay. You want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast. This is getting beyond my control.
This relates to the previously stated tactic of the interrogator exaggerating and mystifying his own powers while maintaining significant level of rapport with a suspect. He's essentially telling the colonel that he is still a friend, yet the powers that he has can only benefit him if he acknowledges the accusation, which at this moment isn't a full confession, only that he was present at the scene in question. The reason the detective asserts to the suspect's presence at the crime scene while not directly accusing him of the actual crime is for the purpose of affording him multiple options of how he chooses to respond. An outright accusation can often lock up a suspect and cause them to deny everything as a reflex response, and this often leads to them requesting legal counsel and stopping the interrogation dead in its tracks. Affording the suspect an exit strategy results in a higher chance of acknowledgement. As an example, the colonel could admit that he happened to be at the crime scene at the time in question, yet think up ulterior reasons as to why he was there. It wouldn't be a full confession, yet it would get the detective one foot in the door, and this primary admittance would then become the new platform for further building the case against the suspect. Research shows that once a person has complied with a small request, they are more likely to comply with a larger demand.
Right? I came in here a few hours ago, and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
Yay, 60. Ah!
Well, you need to explain it
So
because
accomplished.
this is the other
I've
problem
never
we're
done
having
that
myself.
before.
Okay. Again, these
Even with my
decisions are
older
made by me.
Which
Right
was
now,
banned.
there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa. Okay. So your wife now knows what's going on.
Damn.
There's a search warrant being executed at your
Let's go
residence in
cut this
Tweed.
shit.
Your vehicle's been seized. Okay.
Notch. I have to probably have to
You and I both
be a
know
level,
they're going to find
a certain level
evidence
to
that
cut that
links
shit.
you
Something.
to these situations. Okay. You and I both know that the unknown offender, male DNA, on Marie Transcomo's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring.
The narrative technique is a variant of the reframing technique, which is when the interrogator reframes the risks associated with not cooperating, and also the gains associated with cooperating. In this particular instance, he's magnifying the beneficial elements of the suspect being able to tie his own narrative to the crimes, while also increasing the fear of him having that same opportunity taken away.
Okay? Listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay? As soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong. Because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it, got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly.
This is in essence the reframing technique that can also be interpreted as the ego up and fear up techniques combined. The detective is heightening the perceived benefits of the suspect's character being presented in a better light, while also increasing the fear of his character being further
Not even
vilified.
interrogator, and I felt that. I already knew what he was doing.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know.
Shit, too easy.
This is over. And it can have a bad ending where Jessica's parents continue to wonder where her daughter's lying. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found. That might even happen tonight, for all I know.
While sighs are often attributed to sadness and frustration, they have also been linked to the fight or flight response, as the additional accumulation of oxygen is essentially preparing you for battle or to safely run away. The thought of the victim's body being found that same evening evoked a subconscious feeling of danger in the suspect, which most likely resulted in this anatomical reaction.
Once that happens, then I don't know what other cards you would have to play. What are we going to do? Russ? What are we going to do?
Call me Russ.
Okay. What are we going to do, Russ?
Oh, God.
Is Jessica somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is this something where we have to go and take a walk?
That shit popping. Let me put some of my bling away.
Russ, maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with?
It's hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that?
Let's go a little shot, guys.
Why is it hard to believe?
We need some boot.
Russ, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my life is right now.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. And they will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking. So what am I doing, Russ? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, start by telling the truth. So where is she?
Got a map?
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure if you give me a map of that covers Caladar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south. I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something. Is she inside, outside? Okay. Is she close to a road?
Yep.
All right. Is it something where is she buried, or is she somewhere where if you walk there you would fairly easily see her?
It's here.
Okay. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
Okay. I'll be right back. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yeah.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yeah.
How long was she alive for?
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Okay. Russ? You're doing the right thing here. Okay. Barry, the obvious question I'm going to have for you is, when they go there, and they'll be there shortly, they're going to find her.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
It's pretty wide open now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we start with Jessica? How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill. Wednesday night, I guess. And I noticed she wasn't there Thursday. So I got into the house to look around. Then they left. Noticed she'd come home. So I went back in through the back patio door while she was sleeping. So I woke her up. Didn't hit her. She only hit her once. Friday night. Well, so I raped her in her house. And then I took her to the car and took her to Tweed. And spent the day in Tweed. And then I hit her as we were walking. She thought we were leaving. Hit her on the back of the head.
Okay. on the back of the head too?
Well, I was surprised that her skull gave way. She was there immediately unconscious. I strangled her.
Okay. What did you hit her with?
Flashlight.
Okay. In the house or outside the house?
In the house.
So when that happened, did she have clothes on or was she naked? Or?
She was dressed.
Okay. So when we find her, is she going to have those clothes on too?
Yeah.
Okay. Marie France Como.
There was an open window in the basement of her house when she was mine. I went in there a couple of nights before she came home. Looked around. I went back in there late at night when she was at home. She's on the phone in her bedroom. She actually discovered me in the basement. She was trying to get her cat to come upstairs, and the cat was in the basement, had seen me and was fixated on me in the corner. She couldn't get the cat up, so she came downstairs to try and get the cat, and I'm not more sure why she came over to me. I guess the cat was staring at me, and she was wondering what the cat was staring at. What's wrong? So when she spotted me, I had the same flashlight. I subdued her. Tied her up. Brought her upstairs. And strangled her later in the morning. Well, or suffocated her. Some tape. Left her there.
How did you subdue her? When you say subdued her in the basement, what did you do?
Well, I had the same flashlight. And, you know, she saw me right away, so it's just, I hit her a couple of times around her head, try and knock her out. Didn't, but she was bleeding a little bit. Eventually, through a struggle, subdued her.
Did she recognize you?
No, I had stuff on my face.
So you go upstairs, and you said she suffocated?
Well, I suffocated her. I put tape on her. I put tape on her mouth. And then I put tape on her nose and held it there so she couldn't breathe.
He then goes on to confess the 2 assaults that occurred in his hometown of Orleans, disclosing every single piece of concessive detail that authorities were hoping to attain. This prompts the detective to then delve deeper into the psychological reasoning and rationale behind the suspect's motives.
Why do you think these things happen? Have you spent much time thinking about that?
About why?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know the answers. And I'm pretty sure the answers don't matter.
Let me ask you this. Did you like or dislike these women?
Attaining a specific and detailed motive for a violent crime holds 2 purposes. The primary reason is to refute any potential claims of mental instability or insanity from a defense team, whether it be during a trial or a sentencing hearing. The secondary purpose is for the further detraction of the defendant's character, which can often result in a more lengthy sentence being rendered.
I didn't know any of them.
Okay.
I had met Patty found us that one time in our airplane.
Okay. No, I guess when you're going through these things, are you? Well, let's talk about Jessica, because she was there with you for the whole day, right? What kind of feelings were you experiencing while you were with her that day?
Oh, she's a very nice girl.
Do you know why you killed her?
Well, I think I killed her because I knew that her story would be recognized.
Well, let me ask you this: is it 2 lived, right, and 2 died? What was the difference in your mind between?
You know, she was serving military, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been difficult for investigators to ignore that connection.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So you go in, she's sleeping, and what do?
Well, I snuck up to the side of her bed. She woke up. But she did as I said. So I didn't hit her.
What did you say?
Just lie down on your tummy.
Okay.
She did. I tied her up.
Would you tie her up?
Some rope I brought.
Tie her hands behind her back, and then what happens?
I took her clothes off.
Okay. And then what happened?
I raped her.
A rape can mean a lot of different things. What kind of sexual act took place?
Vaginal and oral.
Okay. Oral. Who was performing the oral sex?
Me on her and her on me.
Okay. Any condoms used or anything like that? No. So there, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Vaginal intercourse. Her performing oral sex on you, and you performing oral sex on her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what order those things occurred in?
Yeah. I started with the oral sex. Then I raped her. And then later on I made her perform oral sex on me.
Okay. Any kind of conversation happening when this is going on?
Yeah, a little bit.
What was being said?
Well, I threatened her before I had her perform oral sex.
What did you say?
Well, I put a zip tie around her neck. I said that I would pull it if I didn't like what she was doing.
Okay. So she did what you told her to do?
Mm-hmm.
Any issues there? Any reason to pull it? So, do you remember if you ejaculated at that point? Or at any point?
Not at that point, but later on.
Okay. So, the oral sex finishes, and then what happens next?
Hey, Ricky!
Well,
What the heck? You just woke up.
To rape her,
Let's
and
be.
I had her put on some of her underwear.
pictures. Lots of pictures.
My boy. The wink. The stink.
Got her dressed. Walked back to the truck.
At what point did you decide
Diaper
that she
full
was
of
going to leave with
stink.
you?
I'm not sure.
That got a lot of stink.
Necessarily that was the plan.
Do you remember the conversation about leaving? Was there any... Did she say anything about that, or what was she saying to you?
She was certainly cooperative.
Cooperative can mean a number of different things. Was she excited about leaving with you? I mean, I don't want to be sarcastic, but
No, she just didn't put up too much of a fuss.
did she try and negotiate with you at all, or
No.
what did she say?
Well, I told her that I would let her go later on.
Okay. So when you take her out of your house, is she still bound, or
Yep.
how is that done?
Just hands behind her back.
What about her feet? Anything there?
No, she was walking freely.
So where does she sit in your truck when you get to the truck?
Front seat, passenger side.
Okay. And where do you go?
Oh, shit.
Straight to Tweed.
Straight to your house in Tweed, or straight to just the town?
Straight to the house.
No stops anywhere? So you get home, what, 4:35 you say? Okay. And then what happens?
Well, she go to the bathroom and a quick shower, wash her. Then we went into my bedroom and to sleep a little bit. She was tied up.
Do you remember how long you slept for?
Not long, maybe a couple hours.
Do you know if she slept?
I don't know.
So you get up from that, and what happens next?
She had a seizure, actually. She felt it coming on, and she'd had some before. Lasted quite a while. Got her dressed.
Oh, shit.
To the family room. Anyway, she recovered. She got it was obviously stress.
How do you know she had them before?
She told me.
Did she tell you why she gets them?
Well, she suggested it was stress.
So she recovered from that?
Yep, I stayed with her and talked her through it and made sure she bite her tongue.
And then what happened?
Well, then we had a little lie down right there because she was obviously exhausted.
Too much for feelings.
Cover her and went to sleep. Then I got her dressed. She thought she was leaving. Got a bite to eat. Fruit. And then as we were walking out, I struck her on the back of the head.
When did you decide to do that?
Well, I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to let her leave. But, the idea of striking her on the head was developed in the afternoon. Her skull gave way a little bit. Felt like there was a lot of blood, so I think that's what happened. She was immediately unconscious. And then I
How'd you strangle her?
The same rope. Just put her on her neck.
Okay. And how did you know she was dead?
Well, her body stopped moving.
So what did you do after that?
I bound her up, put her in the garage, and then I went into the base.
Why'd you go to the base?
Pardon me?
Why'd you go to the base?
Because I was flying early the next morning.
Okay. So you get back to Tweed, and what happens next?
I took Jessica's body to that spot.
Okay. And how did you leave her?
I just left her tucked behind a fairly large rock.
Is that duct tape still on her? And what else is on her?
A couple of towels wrapped around her head. And the top and pants she was wearing, jeans.
Okay. So you go in, and you're in the basement. And whereabouts in the basement are you?
By the furnace.
Okay. And what are you doing? What's your sort of plan at that point?
I was waiting for her to go to bed.
Okay. And how long did that take?
Well, she didn't. Because then she came down looking for the cat.
And what is she wearing at that point?
She wasn't wearing anything to start with.
So when she came down to the basement, she had no clothes on?
She had some sort of a shawl over her shoulder.
Okay.
She immediately dropped when she saw me.
Did she say anything when she saw you?
She did. She called out, "You bastard."
Okay. And then what happened?
Then I subdued her as I described.
By hitting her with that red flashlight? How did you tie her at that point? Like, I know you used the rope, but what did you tie her up like?
Just pulled her hands behind her back and just tied her wrists together.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
Then I took her upstairs.
Did she go upstairs under her own power, or did you carry her?
No, she passed out on the stairs. And then I carried her up.
Why do you think she passed out?
I expect from the hits to her head.
So you carried her up to where?
To her bedroom, put her on the bed.
Okay. And then what happened?
Well, as I described, I think she's on the bed. I raped her over a period of time.
Okay. And again, just to be specific, what sex acts took place?
Just vaginal.
Your penis in her vagina?
Yeah.
Any condom used?
No.
Did you ejaculate?
No.
Did you ejaculate at any point with her?
No.
Okay. And then what happens next?
Well, as I described, I suffocated her using duct tape.
Gotta put the boots on.
So while you're with Marie Franz, what kind of conversations are taking place? Anything in it she said to you stick out in your mind?
No, I taped her mouth. There's no conversation.
Okay. When did you tape her mouth?
As soon as I got her up to the bedroom.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because she was, quite aggressive.
In what way?
I was confident she would have screamed, given the chance.
Do you remember how you left her residence?
Back door. Patio door.
Okay.
Well, I guess I just have a couple of questions for you. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more questions, but I guess what's on my mind right now, Russ, is what made you decide to tell me this tonight?
Mostly to make my wife's life easier.
How do you feel about what you've done? Like what?
Disappointed.
Let me ask you this: if this didn't come to the point it's at right now, if for whatever reason you didn't end up on our radar, so to speak, do you think it would have happened again?
I was hoping not, but I can't answer the question.
The details that were out already didn't prepare anyone for what was heard in court today, as Colonel Russell Williams pleaded guilty to 2 murders, 2 sexual assaults, and more than 80 break-ins, and many were described in detail. Along with each count came graphic photo evidence and a clear pattern to Williams' escalating crimes. You should be aware some of the facts are highly disturbing.
Peter, the evidence presented in court today painted a chilling portrait of a predator who escalated from break-and-enters to sexual assault to murder, giving the public its first real glimpse of Russell Williams' criminal mind. It's the most graphic insight into Williams' double life, and it started soon after Williams shuffled into the courtroom, shackled and pale. In a voice that was at times barely audible, Williams pled guilty to all 88 charges against him. Then, slumped in his chair, his eyes downcast, he listened expressionless while the Crown exhaustively recounted the case against him. Until now, it's been reported Williams would steal women's undergarments and clothing when he broke into dozens of homes in Tweed and Ottawa. But what emerged in court was even more disturbing, that Williams often targeted the homes and the belongings of young girls. The first such incident occurred near his home in Tweed, starting a pattern that would be repeated over and over again. Today, the court released 27 photos taken by Williams himself, all of them in his own home. Of the thousands of pictures he took of lingerie stolen from drawers, closets, even laundry baskets, William laid them all out meticulously, and he tried them on. There were several similar photos released, but the CBC chose to crop them. In court, there were many more graphic pictures shown of Williams masturbating while wearing stolen garments. Police say Williams often spent hours in a given home, especially in the bedrooms of young girls he had stalked.
It's very disturbing. It's very troubling. My hat's off to the investigators that worked full-time on this for months and months and months to sift through this information.
And there was a lot of information to sift through. Williams kept meticulous logs of every single crime he committed and buried those logs and photographs deep into his home computer's hard drive. And the Crown argued his obsession with photographs and videos continued when he took photos of the sexual assaults of Marie-France Como and Jessica Lloyd, and video of Como's murder. That evidence has yet to be released. Lloyd's family is bracing for a devastating week.
He pled guilty. We know what the sentence is going to be. Why is the court going through all this? Why are we hearing the things we're hearing, seeing the things we're seeing in such detail?
It would seem on the surface to be an open and shut case, Peter, but lawyers and the Crown especially, and police too, wanted to lay out to the public the scope and the extent of their investigation, the sheer number of crimes, the horrific nature of the crimes, and especially to satiate the public's interest in such a public figure.
He was a killer with the ultimate cover. As a base commander in the Canadian Air Force, Colonel Russell Williams comforted families of the fallen, rubbed shoulders with the Prime Minister, and even flew planes for the Queen. But no one, including his wife, knew that he was also a sexual deviant, burglar, rapist, and murderer. And today, what began as fetish and fantasy led to a life sentence of solitary misery.
Jim Smith was later praised for his impassive and methodical approach to the interrogation, as he used one rational argument after another to slowly convince the suspect that his only option was to confess, void of any antagonistic strategies whatsoever. It was perfectly executed, and Smith became somewhat of a cult figure in the realm of criminology and police culture. He has been offered a multitude of highly lucrative deals from a variety of international publishing companies to write a book on his background and expertise, all of which he has refused, and continues to work as a senior criminal investigator to the present day.
Next video. Hey.
This guy from New York City just drove more than 50 miles in the rain to have sex with someone he thinks is a 12-year-old girl. You heard right, a 12-year-old.
Hi, Poppy. Come on. It's so good to see you.
Joshua Colon likes to be called Poppy, Latin slang for daddy. But we have another name for him. Predator. Colon is the latest guy caught in our all-new investigative segment, Hansen vs. Predator. He's 32 years old enough to be the girl's father. He lives in Queens and works for a plumbing company in Brooklyn. Besides Poppy, he likes to be called Boss. His profile on the Link app shows he belongs to groups like Kush Smokers Are Us and Love Seekers, a site for teens.
Traffic cams we can see for Connecticut to New York. He's in Queens now and heading this way, and he says there's traffic.
That woman in a bulletproof vest is with the online predator watchdog group Tetrad Core. They set up this sting in cooperation with the Fairfield, Connecticut police. On social media, Tetrad posts a pic and profile that is obviously a 12-year-old girl. We're protecting her real identity. Colon makes the first contact, and after some innocent chat, he sends some sexually charged texts about how he'll take her virginity. He then makes a bizarre proposal no adult should ever make to a 12-year-old.
You make me more happier. It's too bad you aren't old enough to marry. I would marry you.
After she tells him her mom is going out of town, Cologne reveals his fear of getting caught.
And if your mom comes back and I'm there, I could get in serious trouble and go to jail.
So I'm home from school and...
The on-site decoy is posing as the 12-year-old named Jenna Claire. She's talking to Cologne as he drives up I-95 from New York City to our sting house in Fairfield.
Be really careful when you drive up, okay?
But it's not the rush hour this guy has to worry about. He's about to be caught on our more than a dozen hidden cameras outside, inside, in the hallway, the kitchen, and in the garage where police are in position for the bust.
Whoever's there is typically the handcuffing officer, okay? This is where we want it to happen. We want to ultimately arrest him here, handcuff him here, and then basically just search him.
The Fairfield cops are prepared for any possibility.
You should have that taser out.
Our driveway cam shows Cologne pulling up to the sting house in a bright yellow car. He's carrying an overnight bag as he walks to the back door. Our on-site decoy, a 19-year-old theater student who could pass for a preteen, invites him inside. Watch again. He locks the door behind him. What could he be thinking?
Did you get here okay, though? Were the roads bad?
Dark out here. It's really
Look what I made you.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Those are red velvet?
Yeah. Do you like them?
Yeah, I like them.
Well, do you want to try
my
them?
picture? Yeah.
What'd you bring me?
I brought dinner for myself.
Oh.
Because I didn't get to finish my dinner.
Oh, that's
I was
okay.
kind of in a rush.
You can finish. I had stuff earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we can have
I'll
cupcakes.
grab you something whenever, it doesn't matter.
It's okay.
It's a nice house.
Thanks.
I wish I had a house like this. Mind if I use the bathroom? Because I was way holding for so long.
Yeah, it's right here.
You look hotter than the picture.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. Yeah, right through
Are
there.
you nervous? Oh.
No, here, this one. Yeah, I know it's little.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. It's old-fashioned, yeah?
Yep.
When he comes out of the bathroom, he sees me.
Is there a light switch in here? Oh, it's behind here, is that it?
Come on out, Joshua.
Oh.
Right over there, please.
He's about to lose his lunch.
Keep your hands right there. See.
I know who you are.
You know who I am?
Yes.
So you've seen my shows before?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're starting up again.
Okay.
And you are among our first guests.
Okay.
What's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. Joshua what?
Cologne.
Cologne. And how old are you?
I'm 32.
32. And how did you meet this Jenna Claire?
I was on a app link.
And why did you think it was appropriate to talk to a girl who said she was 12 years old?
I don't know why.
12?
I know. It was wrong.
What did you bring with you tonight?
Huh?
What did you bring with you tonight?
Clothes.
Clothes. Why would you need to change of clothes?
Because I was going to stay over.
Stay over with a 12-year-old girl?
Yeah.
And what were you going to do with this girl? What do you mean you don't know?
Guess have sex.
Have sex?
Yeah.
Now you had quite the chat with this girl. It's too bad you aren't old enough. I would marry you. You would marry a 12-year-old girl.
If she was old enough.
If she was old enough. But why would you even say that to a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
Do you have any nieces and nephews, younger cousins?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what if a guy was hitting on them like this?
Yeah, I wouldn't like it.
You wouldn't like it. So explain to me what was going on in your mind that made you think it was okay to come here and do the very same thing.
I don't want to say anything more.
You want to say anything more? Well, you pretty much already said it. Did you bring condoms?
Yes.
Where are they?
In my bag.
What else is in the bag?
Clothes and toothbrush, stuff like that.
That's it?
That's it. That's all you're going to find.
Yeah, well, we'll finally make out and make love. I was thinking of staying over and leaving the next morning. So when I come over, we'll go to your room and you'll take off all your clothes.
Yeah.
since I'm the boss. Why did you have her call you Poppy?
I don't want to say anymore.
What is Poppy?
Latin saying.
Nickname?
Yeah.
You wanted her to call you the boss. And then you say, I just hope your mom doesn't find out about me because I could get in serious trouble, you know, right? I could go to jail. I know love knows no age, but most people don't think the same. 12, Joshua.
I know, I messed up.
Have you done this before?
No.
Have you ever contacted an underage girl online before?
Yes.
We have evidence of that too. A 13-year-old. So why should I believe you've never done this before?
It is the first of me
You just woke up
a chance.
You woke up a few weeks ago and said, I'm going to chat up this girl and drive from your home where?
New York.
In Brooklyn.
In Queens.
Queens. You said Brooklyn. Or do you work in Brooklyn?
I work in Brooklyn.
Okay. And you live in Queens?
Yes.
And what do you do for work in Brooklyn?
I'm a plumber.
A plumber. Good job.
Yeah.
Good pay.
It's alright.
Why would you toss it away for this?
I don't know.
I mean, can't you explain to me what brought you here tonight?
No.
I mean, it's not right.
It is not right. I know.
But help me to understand it.
I don't know. I don't know what was going through my mind.
You don't know?
No.
I mean, this is your chance to explain yourself.
There's no way I'm getting out of this anyway, so I'm not going to say anymore.
Well, Joshua, I don't know what else to say to you. Except that I'm Chris Hansen. And this is an investigation called Hansen versus Predator.
Okay.
So if there's anything else you want people to know, now is the time.
No.
You're free to leave.
Can I use the bathroom? Because I've been holding it for quite some time.
I think you should go. After I caught this predator, the Fairfield, Connecticut cops put him under arrest.
Hands behind your back. Come right over here. Hands behind your back, sir.
As officers search his yellow car, he's handcuffed and put into an unmarked car.
And I'm going to slide all the way over.
Cops drive Cologne to the police station.
Can you open all your hands, sir?
After he's fingerprinted and photographed, he'll spill his guts to detectives.
Don't wait on us. We've already eaten dinner, so we're good to go. You're the hungry guy.
The detectives give him some Chinese takeout. He's waived his rights to remain silent, and what he's about to say will shock you.
And is 12 an age that you're comfortable with? That's your preference, or?
I date all ages.
What?
Huh?
I can't hear you.
I date older, younger. I mean, not younger than 12, but 12 and up.
Now, Cologne is about to make a truly stunning confession. Listen closely.
I mean, I did have sexual relations with someone older than 12.
How old?
15.
When was that?
A few months back.
Do you remember her name?
It's not a her.
Okay. Do you remember his name?
Dave.
Cologne then reveals his biggest fear was meeting me instead of a little girl.
I mean, I talked, but I never actually went to meet them because I was always afraid.
Of what?
To be like on that guy's show.
That's what you were afraid of?
Can't say that I blame you.
What exactly, if you could erase him from walking into the kitchen today, what do you envision yourself doing right now if that hadn't happened?
You guys know already.
Your intention was to have sex with her?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you tell her you loved her?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I guess to kind of, kind of pull her in, I guess, or something.
To pull her in?
I guess.
What do you think would be different about a sexual experience with a young girl versus an older person your age?
I mean, the older person is more experienced. And I guess in some way I can have, I guess, the power, I guess.
Power of having an inexperienced person?
Yeah.
Cologne surely is going to choke on his chicken noodles after the detective calls the watch commander to find out how much his bail will be.
He's going to make it $750,000, which is very high.
Cologne's bond is eventually set at $125,000, and he bails out.
What surprised you most about the results of this investigation?
How vulnerable our children are. How the internet has made our children so much more vulnerable to individuals that want to do them harm. And how easy it is to entice children.
The text messages, the visit to the house, evidence so overwhelming that Cologne pleads guilty to 3 felony charges: attempted second-degree sexual assault, attempted risk of injury to a minor, and attempting to entice a minor by computer. Cologne is sentenced to 7 years in prison, suspended after serving 3, and he must register as a sex offender. He's traded life in the big city for the big house. We got another one off the streets for now, but watch out. There are more predators out there, and I'm gonna catch them. What's scary about Cologne is how unapologetic he seems about the whole thing. So I'm up here now in the New York office because I get emails from parents all the time after they watch these segments asking how they can better protect their kids from these creeps. Well, it starts right here on the computer and with this, your smartphone. Here are some short tips for you. Number 1, educate yourself on all the new social platforms. You don't need to use Snapchat or Whisper, but you need to understand how they work. Number 2, curfew their cell phones. Set a time that kids' smartphones go on a family charging station for the night. These creeps like to work in the late night hours. And lastly, number 3, have a blunt, age-appropriate discussion with your kids. When I did the very first investigation, I showed it to a group of young teens. They thought the predators were actually actors. They were shocked to see guys really do this. And I was shocked.
I run on nicotine and caffeine.
We're the same age, and I tell you anymore, if I drink a lot of water. I had some stomach issues, and the doctor says drink water. It really helps with the indigestion real bad. It's just chewing, but I won't give it up. But if I can sleep through the night or get about 4 or 5 hours without having to get up and pee,
Yeah.
about 6 o'clock.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know,
That's me.
when we fly, we have family out of state, so we have to fly there. The day before I leave, I start dehydrating myself. I can't stand to get on a plane and have to try to pee. and it never fails. I don't know if it's the cabin pressure on. I go pee 5 seconds before I get on. As soon as it gets up in the air, I gotta go pee. You know, and everyone, you're walking down.
He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries on July 25th, 2015. Unfortunately, he didn't recover from the
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Maury.
DJ.
You are not the father.
You got it.
Maury's here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I saw you on a train the other day. Was that really you, Maury? They took a picture of you
You
on the
know
train.
something? It went viral.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
You really were on a train?
I go on the train.
Really?
I went to the Barclays Center to see the Nets and the Pelicans play.
Okay.
And so I'm coming home by myself.
By yourself on the train?
Yeah.
Okay.
And somebody snapped a pic. And the next thing I know, they put it on Facebook or something. It went viral.
Yeah, I don't understand why people act like millionaires can't ride the train.
First of all, I live on the Upper West Side. I want to go to the Barclays Center. I can take the B all the way there. It's like 25 minutes.
25 minutes?
Yeah. I mean,
oh, yeah, you better off in a car service if it take
No,
that
car
long.
service would have took at least an hour 40.
Really?
Yes.
It's unbelievable. You gotta cross bridges or tunnels. I mean, come on. And so.
But you was by yourself?
Yeah.
No security, nothing?
I don't do that.
Okay, boy.
By the way, I have security on the show.
That's what I'm saying. You're never afraid that somebody who wasn't the father is going to see you and get upset?
I want to tell you something. I'm on television every single day, all over the country, just like you, all over the country. If I go 25, 30 minutes on a train and nobody recognizes me, I'm in trouble.
That's a problem.
So did they recognize you that ride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody went, take a pic. I didn't know they were taking it. And then there are a lot of selfies and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go out in order to feel good.
Right.
More, you still need validation from people?
Oh, gosh, Charlamagne. Don't we all?
Gee, I would hope I don't at 80. If I was 80 and as successful as you.
You had to bring that up.
I'm just saying.
You had to bring that up.
And you went by yourself? The Nets only gave you one ticket, Maury?
No, I met some people there.
I was about to say.
I met people there.
Okay.
But I sat in a nice seat. By the way, it's a nice place to go to watch a game.
Oh, I love the Barclays.
It's very nice.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's a good place, I tell you, they're more competitive than the team on this side of the river.
That is true.
You know what's so funny though? They probably see you on the train and don't believe it's you. They're like, that guy looks like Maury.
I tell you, what happens is they look at me and they look at you. It's like you probably. They look at you strange and they go, are you? And they point their finger. Are you? I go, really? You just don't look like it? No, that's it. Can you say you are not the father?
Oh my God!
They ask you to say that all the time.
Do you ever say no? I'm not Maury. I'm Jerry Springer.
No, I do not say that. I do not say that. I do say sometimes I say I'm that guy some of the days of the week.
Yeah, do you do that though? Do you say I'm not the father? Do you do that for people to know?
Oh yeah. Oh, they want to write. They want me to write it. Give an autograph. Say you're dear. Ken, you are not the father.
Oh my God! I mean, those 5 words have made you a lot of money, though, Maury. I mean, you got a game now.
That's right.
You're not the father.
It's an adult board game.
How does that work?
It's coming out November 27th on Amazon. This is the thing. It's like I don't know if you know that game, Cards Against Humanity or something like that. And it's it's an adult board game. There's a few beers in there and stuff like that. But the key is, you have to find the wildest excuse that people give for not being the father. In other words, I fell off the jungle gym when I was a kid, and I damaged a certain part, and I can't have any kids. Or that's too white to be my baby, or all that stuff. Or the woman is saying that is your child because it has the same crooked toes that you do. Damn. And so the key is the wildest, craziest reasons. By the way, all of them have been on the show. All the quotes have been on the show.
Got you.
And so the wildest quote gets you more points. And the key is not to end up with a card that you are the father.
So this is fictional then. I thought it was actually like DNA swabs inside of it.
Oh,
I didn't know.
Oh, no, we're doing all
Who's
of
this
that.
on the front?
Yeah, who is that? That's a guy in
It's an old picture.
It's a touched up Photoshop guy.
So what made you do this game?
I didn't. They wanted to do it. A company called us up, said we got this idea for this adult board game. So
Let's play a little bit.
All right.
Okay, setting the stage. All players.
Oh no, you don't want to do that. Just open the cards and see all.
I got the cards. I got the cards here.
Open the cards and see what all the crazy quotes are. That's the key.
All right.
I
so
mean,
I got to shuffle these.
No, you just
just pick one.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what do I do?
Read something you don't know
That
how to
baby
do.
even has your same hairstyle.
Right.
No, because that baby actually has real hair. You don't envy. You have hair plugs. So I doubt that's your
Maury, can you tell him
child.
my hair is real? I try to tell him my. Why are you looking like that? Maury's real. You know what?
Of course it's
Maury
real.
knows the toupee when he sees one. Maury, when you start
I'm
getting
gonna
hair
tell you
plugs?
something.
What?
There are some great toupees.
This is
out
real.
there.
That's
Maury.
one of them.
I know.
This
Is that
is
right?
real.
There are some great toupees.
Maury, pull this right there.
I asked your barber too, bro. I asked Johnny.
Okay, I'll tell you
Johnny.
one. I'll tell you one great toupee. No, that's real.
No, it's not, Maury.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
Maury, people think your show is real.
let me tell you.
So how could?
It's as real as it gets. Trust me. It's a piece of the American fabric. Come on.
It is.
I'll tell you a great toupee. You ever watch football on TV?
Yeah, all the time.
You know who Greg Gumbel is?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Full toupee.
Greg Gumbel, really?
Oh boy, I hope I didn't blow it up.
Greg Gumbel? He got like the little afro, right?
Let me look.
I've known Greg
Greg?
a long time.
Greg Gumbel.
That's Brian's brother, isn't
Oh yeah,
it?
yeah.
Greg is Brian's brother.
Yeah. You could. Yeah.
I never thought that was a toupee.
Now look at it
I just
now.
thought it was like a little afro. I thought he had little curls.
He did one time.
No.
Wow.
We worked together in
Got the
Chicago
little curl on the
many years
forehead.
ago.
So he had to.
Holy.
What is that? Introducing.
There you go. Wow. I heard about these. I've never seen one before.
You started to see his hairline recede, or what happened?
I
Started going
think so.
bald,
Yeah, I think so.
and he just comes in with a full head of hair one day.
I want to tell you something. I hope I'm right. Because if I'm wrong, Greg is the nicest guy in the world. I hope I'm wrong.
I know a guy I work with. You know, same thing, receding hairline,
Yeah.
bald head, and just came in with a full head of hair one day and
Sure.
started fooling people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not. I let my hair grow.
Why are you protesting?
Come
You know
on.
I'm talking about you.
Okay, you're right.
DJ, really?
Now, you're on season 22 now, right?
Yeah. And another 7 before that with the Maury Povich show. And now they tell me, the researchers say I'm the longest run. It's like you. I'm the longest running daytime talk show host in history.
Well, congratulations.
No, it ain't like us. Urban radio.
Urban
Longest in New York, I think. 9 years.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they eat people like you up.
Yeah. Absolutely. So how do you feel, man? Because every time when I mentioned age, you was like, don't remind me. And then when you said 22, you was like, 22 years.
Terrible. But, you know, there was Clint Eastwood years ago. They asked him, because he's well in his 80s, and they said, how do you do it? How do you do it? He says, I don't let the old man in. So I just don't want to see any old man. I don't want to let him in.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have no friends your age?
No, I don't mean that. I mean the real old man. The man upstairs.
Oh, God. But you don't have no choice over that. When God is ready to call you, he going to call you.
Oh, really?
That's what I've always heard.
Well, I'll argue.
How do you stay so youthful, though, Maury, man?
I don't know. I got a young wife. She's only 7-8 years younger than me.
Well, do you eat healthy at all? Or?
You know, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Who gives a fuck? You're 80.
I know.
You made it this long. I'm going to switch up now.
You know.
But you got this.
I take everybody worries about the cholesterol, so I take those statins, and so, It is what it is. NBC wants me to keep going. I mean, so I'm going. And I tell you, you really pay attention to the election, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's a big time thing.
It is, man. I mean, I'm more afraid than anything, though, because I don't know if democracy as we know it is still the same. In fact, I know it's not. So, you know, when we keep telling everybody to go out there and vote next year, it's like, what about the Russian interference? You know, they're trying to pass election security bills. Mitch McConnell is blocking them. Like, I just want to make sure things are on the up and up. I don't feel like they are.
The problem is what we don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just don't know. You know, you go on social media, who the hell knows who's on there? I mean, I'm confused. I figured this is why I'm confused. Bloomberg has the money. Trump lies about the money. Elizabeth Warren wants to take my money. And Andrew Yang wants to give me money. So I'm confused.
Who do you lean towards in those situations?
I don't know. I mean, I just hope that whoever gets the Democratic nomination can win. That's all. That's. I mean, I would think that if you're not for Trump, I'd say that has to be the one thing uppermost in your mind. Get somebody who can win. If you're not for Trump.
I love talking to guys like you because you've been around for so long. Is this the worst?
It is.
There's nothing wrong with it. I pray I live to be 80. Is this the worst presidency you've ever seen?
Yes.
Wow.
This is the worst.
Worse than Nixon and.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because Nixon and I was in the news business then, and I covered Watergate, and I knew how, evil he was to the people he did not like. But this is the worst presidency because I've never seen. They are so disorganized in terms of running the country that I don't get it. I just don't get it. And what I don't get is that a significant number of people don't recognize that. They don't recognize it.
I think it's for a while because people weren't acting like it was a problem. Like you had the Democrats kind of acting like this was normal and just business as usual. Now they're acting like it's a actual problem.
And but the disrespect that people have for each other, not only in politics but just generally. I mean, it's mean and ugly out there. It's really ugly. And if you go around and say, if you're not for me, you're a terrible person. I mean, that's not the way we're supposed to be. I mean, I see. When I used to cover it, believe it or not, Republicans and Democrats used to go out and used to socialize together. And they used to, if there was a huge issue, there would be some kind of compromise and accommodation.
They'll deal with it.
And nobody's doing that anymore.
Do you regret voting for Trump?
I didn't vote for Trump.
I'm just trying to trick you up. That's all.
I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't. But I'll tell you this: I had to go kicking and screaming to vote for her.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan
of Hillary.
No.
Why not? Who'd you like?
Because I mean, I hate to say this, but I believe she enabled her husband to do, to get away with some crap.
You mean like the sexual stuff?
Yeah. And I quite frankly, I would have liked to have seen her divorce him, and then I would have had more respect for her. Because it wasn't just one intern. Come on.
Well, let me play white devil's advocate for a second. Okay. She's a wife. She caught her man cheating.
No question.
If she chose to stay,
correct,
she has that right to.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make her a weak person because she didn't divorce him.
No, I agree. I agree with all of that. It's just that my feeling was there's a history there. There's a history there. She ignored that history. And some people would like to say that she tied herself to him for her own political purposes.
So she can do this later on. So you believe this was a plan for her to run?
There is no question in my mind.
So you think infidelity is a deal breaker all the time?
No.
Why in that situation?
Because I think it was long-standing, and I think she enabled him to continue.
So you heard about this before? This was nothing?
No. No. And I think most people who covered him way back when he was governor and such.
Have you cheated ever in your marriage?
No, not. My wife says I haven't. So.
Wow. What she don't know won't hurt her, huh, Mark?
No, I don't. Look, I've been married 35 years. I got the best wife in the world. You know what my wife would say?
Try to clean it up now.
No. You know what my wife would say? If she caught me cheating, you know what she would say?
What?
I'm just going to get even.
Whoa.
How's that attitude?
Wow. Key word, you said if she caught you cheating. Key word is getting caught.
Oh.
You've never gotten caught, clearly.
Look. I have a very loving relationship with my wife, and I would never do anything to embarrass her.
There you go.
There you go.
That's how I feel. Yep. I'm with you 100%.
Yep.
I mean, I know about you. You got a great family, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it took me a while. I mean, listen, it took me a while to really start appreciating my woman.
was a surprise. Didn't really expect the shooting to be on the first day of school.
We all came outside, and me and my friend started walking out to find her mom. And I saw my neighbor, Miss Chris Archer, and you know, I just saw her. We hugged and we just started crying, and yeah.
On the first day of school, when most students came prepared with new clothes and school supplies in their backpacks, 15-year-old Robert Gladden Jr. came prepared with a bottle of peanut butter and jelly flavored vodka and a disassembled shotgun, along with 21 shells in his backpack. One day earlier, Gladden spent the day at his father's house like he did often during summer recess, sleeping late and playing video games. Before being dropped off at his mother's house, Gladden took apart his father's shotgun so he could bring it home with him. That evening, Gladden sent texts to his friends. "I'm going to bring a shotgun and 21 shells. I'll let your imagination do the rest, and I trust you not to tell anyone about this, so please don't. And I'm either going straight to Mrs. Blake's room or wait until lunch and just shoot everyone." But his friends did not take these texts seriously at the time and did not tell anyone. On Facebook, Bobby Gladden also went by the name Suicidal Smile and had murder-suicide at the Manson family listed as his place of employment. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the Columbine killers, listed under inspirational people. A few hours before attending school, Gladden posted, "First day of school, last day of my life. Fuck the world." On the morning of August 27th, 2012, Gladden attended his first 2 classes at Perry Hall High School, and then went to the school restroom during break time, where he reassembled the shotgun he had gotten from his father's house and loaded it. With the shotgun hidden under his shirt, Gladden entered the school cafeteria, pulled out the shotgun, and fired it, striking Daniel Burrowy, a 17-year-old student with Down syndrome, in the back, critically wounding him. A school guidance counselor, Jesse Wasmer, immediately rushed to Gladden, along with other brave faculty members, and subdued him when he fired one more shot into the cafeteria ceiling. Gladden was arrested and questioned by police shortly after the attempted mass murder of his fellow classmates.
What's going on, bud? Hey, Robert? Yeah. What do you like to be called? Bob, Robert. Bob? Need a minute to wake up, anything? Sure? Alright. My name's Eric. This is Chris. Alright, I'm an investigator for Baltimore County. Okay? Obviously, we want to get a couple of things about you. See what's going on today. First and foremost, I have to read you a couple of things. Now, you may have heard these before. How old are you? 15. 15? Okay. You're reading, writing, all that stuff? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's Robert. What's your middle name, bud? Wayne. What's your last name? Gladden. Gladden. You said 15? Yeah. What's your birthday? August 5th, 1997. You're currently a sophomore? Is that what it is? 10th grade? You said you're reading, right? Alright, what this is going to advise you of your rights. I just want you to listen. If there's anything on here that you don't get, a word, a phrase, anything, just stop me. Okay. And we'll go over it together and make sure that you have an understanding of it, okay? These first 5 things I'm going to read you are pretty much, you just need to understand what the words mean, okay? We'll go over it together. You have the absolute right to remain silent, okay? Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk with a lawyer at any time before or during any questioning. If you want a lawyer and cannot afford one, you can request the court to appoint a lawyer prior to any questioning. No fuss. If you agree to answer questions, you may stop at any time and no further questions will be asked of you. You understand what the words, just the phrases 1 through 5? If we decide to have a conversation about anything, and I get to something that you don't want to talk about, you can simply say, I don't want to talk about that. We'll move on to something else. All right, does that sound reasonable? Yes. All right, what this paragraph here says is very important.
I have read and understand this explanation of my rights. My decision to waive these rights and be interviewed is free and voluntary on my part. Key words, free and voluntary. I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm not going to promise you anything. So you understand what free and voluntary means? Okay, with this in mind, can we have a conversation about what's going on today? Okay. Can you sign right there? Your good old legal signature? Date and time, man. It's August 27th. Well, you got it. 3:30. So what's going on today, man?
I was just gonna kill myself, but like a month or two ago, or actually, the first time I thought about killing myself was in 4th grade, but I was so young, I figured I'd wait. But today, about 2 months ago, I was just gonna kill myself. Then I realized wouldn't get the point across, like how messed up the world is. So then I was like, might as well just kill a couple kids and then off myself. So I went there and I had broken down the gun and I had it in a bag. And I took it into the bathroom and put it up, and then I walked into the cafeteria and I didn't really have any one person that I was trying to kill. I just turned to the side and shot. And then like before I could even get the second shot off, a teacher came over and like pushed me up against a vending machine. So then I was stuck there and just gave up.
When did you come about this decision?
I thought about doing it as far as last year, but never really thought about it much until about a month ago.
Is that when you chose to do it on the first day of school? Where'd you get the gun from?
I found it at my dad's house.
You just found it? And the bullets?
Yeah.
Were they with the gun?
Yeah.
Were there any other guns there?
No.
Did you take any other guns with you today? Pistols or anything like that? Any other, anything gonna blow up, hurt your body later today, tomorrow, nothing like that?
No.
Just the backpack was it? What else did you have in the backpack with you?
That was a bottle of vodka, but that was it.
Had you drank any of that today?
Just a little bit. There wasn't much in there.
No. Did that make you drunk?
No.
No? Did you talk to anybody this morning before you did it? Did you tell anybody what your plans were?
I told a couple of people that I loved them, but I didn't tell anyone what I was doing.
So you didn't lay your plan out to anybody specifically? Do you have any specific friends in school?
There's really 2 kids that I really talked to, and that's Evan Postlewaite and Tyler Medley.
Okay. Did you tell them what you were planning?
I told they had the same lunch as me.
Yeah.
And I told them to leave before I did it, but I didn't tell them what I was doing.
You just told them to leave?
Yeah.
Did they ask why?
Yeah, they said I'm about to do something, and I was like, leave unless you want to get hurt. And then I don't know if they left, because after I said that, I went to the bathroom.
Okay. Anything else happened in school today? Anything in the cafeteria? I mean, you came to school with this purpose today, right?
Yeah.
And you brought the gun. How'd you get to school?
Bus.
Just a regular old school bus?
Yeah.
You just broke the gun down, put it in the bag? No other problems this morning? Did you make it to your first class?
Yeah.
Yeah. What class was that?
It was, I think, career research and development.
Okay. That sounds exciting. So you just waited till lunch? And you didn't pick anybody specifically?
No.
You just... I mean, did you stand up at your lunch table? Tell me how this went.
I had it in the bag, so I went into the bathroom and I assembled it in there. And the pants I had really deep pockets, so I put the stock in the pocket and then put it under my shirt.
Okay.
And as soon as I got in the cafeteria, I just pulled it out and turned to the side and pulled one trigger.
Okay.
And then the teacher came over and grabbed me, and the gun was like that. So then it was stuck there, and I just looked out.
Okay. Did the gun go off a second time?
Yeah, but it didn't hit anyone.
Didn't hit anyone
that I'm aware of.
Okay. So the first time you shot, you were trying to shoot somebody?
Yeah.
You just didn't care who at that point? Do you know what kind of bullets goes in that gun?
16 gauge.
16 gauge. Okay. Any had you ever seen that gun before?
Yeah.
You had. Did you ever take pictures of it or show it to anybody or anything like that?
No.
No? Facebook, anything good like that?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay. Did you fire any rounds off anywhere else just to practice, just to make sure it worked?
No.
No. How many bullets did you take with you today?
21.
Why so many?
Figured if I'm going to do it, might as well go a lot.
So I believe you said in the beginning you were going to save the last bullet for you?
Yeah.
So if you would, how many bullets did you have?
21.
So how would this have worked out ideally for you?
Gotten as many as I could and then gotten to kill myself.
So you wanted to kill as many people as you could in the school. Why'd you pick the cafeteria?
There's kids there at once.
Yeah, that's where the largest group would be?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're just going to kill yourself at the end of it?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Columbine or something, isn't it? You familiar with that? Is that before your time?
Know what it is.
Have you read about it or anything? Yeah. A lot?
Not a lot, but I know about it.
Yeah. No one else involved in this?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody helped you, opened up the door or anything like that?
Nope.
Did you gain inspiration from anything else?
Not really.
No?
Are you familiar with guns?
Mm-hmm. I've been shooting them since I was about 6.
You familiar with that specific gun you took today?
No. I didn't know they even made 16 gauges.
Okay. How were you able to, you said you got it into a bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big gun.
It's like you just, like on double barrels, and take the foregrip, and almost everyone's got the indent at the top, and you can pull that down, and then you just pull that hammer over, and then they slide, and it comes into 3 pieces.
Okay.
That's how you brought it to school?
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd you figure out how to do that?
I looked it up.
Like on the internet or go to the library or what?
Internet.
Okay. When did you do that?
About Thursday night of last week.
Oh, okay. It's recent.
Is that when you found the gun? Is that when you looked it up?
Yeah.
Is there any other guns in the house?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. Whose gun is it?
I'm pretty sure it's one of my dad's friends' guns, because he would let my dad borrow it, but I don't know for certain.
Okay. And now, who do you live with, your mom or your dad?
Both. Like, I go back
Back and forth? Okay. So where does your dad live? Which house?
358 Grovethorne Road in Hawthorne.
So your dad lives at Grovethorne. And you don't know of any other guns in that house?
Mm-hmm.
Did you take all the ammunition with you? Did you leave any bullets
That I
behind?
know of, I took all.
Now, a lot of times, things like this happen. People leave messages behind just so everybody's clear on their intentions. Did you leave any notes?
They searched me, and I had a note in my pocket. I don't know what they did with it.
Okay. What was that note about?
It was just, I was really making it like a joke of a note. Like, I'm in a band, and it's really just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, basically 2 paragraphs of the note was just telling people to listen to my band.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was just, like, writing really random stuff. Like I would write something, and then that made sense, and then out of nowhere, I was just like, oh, dang, forgot to feed my fish. Just so people would get confused. And, like, but I don't know what they did with that.
Okay. No other video postings or?
I mean, on Facebook, a class before lunch, or, a class before lunch, I said, today's the first day of school and the last day of my life. But It's it. It's not a video. It's words.
No, what time was that, you think?
Probably 10:20.
So you made up your mind?
No, not 10:20 because that's one job. Like, probably 10.
So your mind was made up at that point? It was getting done?
Yeah.
Did you think about doing any other instead of the cafeteria, maybe homeroom? Any specific teachers in mind or anything?
When I very first thought about doing it, like mainly back last year, I had a teacher that was really just a big bitch, and I thought about taking her out, but I figured it'd be too much work, so.
You don't have a class with her this year?
No.
Okay. So you decided on the cafeteria, because that's where you get the most impact? Did you aim for any of the teachers that were in there?
No.
Or? Did you talk to anybody right before you did it? Single anybody out by name? See anybody in the bathroom?
My two friends, I told them to leave. Oh wait, I think I told you that.
So Tyler and Evan?
Yeah. And in the bathroom, there were kids in there, but I went into a stall and closed the door, so they didn't see me assembling it or anything.
Oh, I got you. Doesn't say nobody stopped you? Or so nobody freaked out?
No one saw me.
But I mean, is that why you went into a stall?
Oh, yeah, so no one stopped me.
I got you. Okay. How do you feel now?
Same.
Same? Same as what?
Same as always.
Okay. Don't feel good? Don't feel remorseful?
Not really.
You wouldn't go back and change it if you could?
I was fired the first shot, then immediately killed myself this time.
Oh, okay. So you just killed yourself quick? Is there any one thing that drew you to this? I mean, you said you've been thinking about it for a while. I mean, did you plan it? Did you take notes? Did you do, you know, a lot of people do a lot of different things to prep and plan, you know?
I didn't really plan it out like I did it. I got it all prepared pretty much the night before school. I didn't know when I was going back to my mom's house. I didn't know when I was going anywhere, so I just waited. And then it was literally Sunday in the daytime is when I actually broke the gun down and put it in the bag and then left.
So you broke the gun down at your dad's?
Yeah.
And you put it in the bag and then you left?
Yeah, I went to my mom's house.
Okay, so you actually took the bus from your mom's house?
Yeah.
To school. What house is that? Where's that?
Kingsville.
Okay, is that on Bradshaw or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so you took the bus from Bradshaw Road. Did you talk to anybody on the bus?
No.
When did you drink your vodka?
When I went to the bathroom. Or actually, as I was walking up to the bus stop, I drank a little, and I took one sip on the bus before anyone else got on from the first one on.
Okay.
And then I had a little bit more in the bathroom, but then it was pretty much all gone.
Okay. But not enough to do a lot of damage, right?
No.
Now, did you go into the cafeteria and sit there for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, before, did you talk to Tyler and Evan or something like that?
Yeah.
At some point you just got up and walked out?
Yeah.
Is that when you told them you guys should probably leave?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else was sitting there with you when that happened?
Me, Tyler, Evan, and a bunch of others.
Did a bunch of other kids, did they know what was about to go on?
No.
Did you tell them to leave?
They heard me tell Tyler and Evan leave, and they left with them.
Do you remember who they were?
No.
You don't know, you just don't know? Just
I don't
know the
know.
kids? Okay. So if you went in there wildly shooting, you just wanted to make sure that you didn't get Tyler or Evan. That was it. They're friends of yours?
Yeah.
Have you ever told them things in the past? That maybe you had these thoughts or feelings or anything?
No.
No. Just kind of kept it in?
Yeah.
What else is going on? There's nothing out there that's going to hurt anybody. We didn't do anything, but no cars, not your mom's house or anything like that. Okay. Why do you think this was necessary? Explain to me.
Make a point.
What's your point?
The people that's above the fucked up place.
Mm-hmm. You have any other point of views behind this?
Not really.
No. Did you explain anything further in your note?
I said, really don't enjoy life. It's really no point. And I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay. I think you mentioned some music, maybe some religious stuff. Is there anything religious behind this?
No, religion wouldn't call it. It's like fucking with Christians.
Just fucking with Christians, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's funny.
I think it's funny. Okay. Take me through your day one more time. Time to get up. Did you sleep last night?
No, I didn't go to sleep.
Stayed up all night?
Yeah.
Just mind racing?
Yeah, around 5:50, I went down, took a shower, came back up around 6:20, left for the bus. Got to school around 7, and then got to my class around 7:20. After that, went to weight training, it's my second class. And I went to water streets, and then went to lunch.
You knew the whole time this was going to happen? Did you have any other problems with anybody in the cafeteria? Guys throwing stuff at you or something like that?
It wasn't directly at me, it just passed by me. Like, you're gonna fucking die. And then they were like, what? And then they said they want to fight. And I was like, give me 10 more minutes. Because at that point it was only like 10:15. I wanted to wait till lunch was over. So.
Why did you want to wait till lunch was almost over?
I don't know.
Just something you picked?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a specific time in mind?
No.
Okay. Was at that point you got him walked down if you told him that you're going to die?
Yeah, because like they were acting like they were going to come over, and the kid was a pretty big kid. And he was coming over acting like he wanted to fight. So I was like, alright, hold on. And then I went over. And as I was walking out of the bathroom, he was actually walking into the bathroom. So I don't know what he was doing. But then I just walked in, turned to the side, and shot.
Okay. The bathroom's right outside the cafeteria, I guess?
Yeah.
Is that why you picked to go in there to break it, build it back up and hide it under your shirt? What did he do after he saw you coming out? He didn't see the gun though, right?
I don't think so.
No.
He didn't do anything.
No. Did you try to pull it out and shoot him or anything?
No.
Did he follow you into the cafeteria?
I don't know. I didn't look behind me.
Okay. You just went in. Did you pull it out immediately? Did you walk over to the middle?
Yeah, as soon as I walked through the door. Like, the way I set up the doors right here, and then there's tables over here, and then like a middle aisle, tables. As soon as I walked in the door, I just turned to the side and shot.
Okay. Would you aim it?
No, I just kind of went like that.
How you do? Stand up. Shoot me today.
I walked in.
Under which sleeve was it?
Because when I walked in, I was like that, pulled it up and down, and I just turned like that.
Just pulled it out and leveled it?
Yeah.
Did you just aim for a mass of people?
Yeah, it was a pretty big group.
Okay.
And I just went like that.
Just went for the biggest group?
Yeah.
Get to both stuff. Okay. Was it a teacher that grabbed you or a student or something?
Yeah, a teacher from over on this side came over. I didn't see him, so he grabbed me and the gun was like that, up against my chest. So at that point, I just let go, and him and another teacher and a police officer there came over and got me down.
Now at some point, they gun went off a second time.
Yeah, as they were up against me, I pulled the trigger again.
So you pulled it again?
Just to see if they would let go.
Okay. But they didn't. Now, if that second shot would have hit anybody, that wouldn't have mattered, would it? No. Were you trying to get it to yourself, or towards one of them, or they just had you pinned up so you pulled trigger?
Yeah, they just had me pinned up, so I pulled.
Okay. So if they wouldn't have interjected like that, if the teachers would have just ran, what would you have done? Did you think that far?
Fired again, reloaded, fired as much as I could.
How does that gun reload? You said it's a double barrel?
Yeah, side by side, and you go like that and it comes down.
It's got a little like switch type thing?
Yeah.
Oh, does it just like break open, like pops open?
Yeah.
And rounds come out? Had you practiced that before?
Yeah.
That's kind of hard, man.
Every time you reload it, safety gets switched on.
Okay.
So it's gonna stop. Get it open, take all that time, and then I start pulling the trigger and it's on safety, and then someone comes over and stops me.
So did you practice that?
Yeah.
Break it open, put it in, get the safety off so you could get back to it?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But just enough to familiarize yourself with it, right? How many rounds did you take, you think?
It was 21.
Did you pick that for a specific reason?
Figured 20, and then
21 for yourself. How many did they kill in Columbine?
I think it was 15, including themselves.
Okay. So you weren't trying to like outdo them by one or anything like that, were you? No. Do you think you have anything in common with them?
Not really, but like, pretty sure they were bullied. I've never been bullied.
So you're not bullied? So you didn't go in with a certain agenda or a certain hit list, and nobody's really bullying you. This is just a statement that Bob was trying to make in the cafeteria on the first day of school. That's it. And that the world is I believe that was your quote, just because the world's a fucked up place. And you just want to show people that?
Yeah.
Anything else? Obviously your plan didn't go as you wanted. Anything else you want to get out there, relay to anybody?
Not really.
No? Where do you see yourself from here?
Like, what do you mean?
What's going to happen to you next? What do you want to happen to you?
I don't know. Do they send 15-year-olds to jail?
I've seen it done, yes.
Okay, maybe not. That's not. And Jesus, I don't know.
What would you want to happen?
Death penalty.
Long.
Second is 5. The way I look at it, there's like 2,500 kids in that school. And as soon as I took the gun in, all their lives were at stake. So he was plead guilty of first degree, attempted murder, or whatever. 2,500 counts. Maybe we'll give it a difference.
You got no other options?
I have other options, I just don't want them.
Okay. Had you planned any other or thought about any other ways to get your point across? Anything smaller, bigger? Anything like that? No. School bus full of kids, something like that, and nothing?
Never thought about that.
No. You didn't tell anybody?
No.
Do you think they would have believed you if you told them?
Probably not.
No. Now, did you not tell them because you don't want to get them in trouble, or because you didn't want them to get in the way and stop you?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay. Fair enough. So you took the gun, your dad didn't know about it?
Yep.
Where did he keep it in the house?
Oh, we My stepmom was pregnant, so we were moving all the rooms around. My room got moved to the basement, and I guess he forgot it was down there because it was on top of the dresser. Okay. So a pretty big dresser. It's saw a red case up there. Took it down, looked at it, and that was there.
Now, is that where your plan kind of relays as we speak? What if you'd never found that gun? How would you have got your point across?
My stepdad has guns, but he keeps them locked in a safe, so it would have been much harder to get.
Was it on Bradshaw?
Yeah.
He lives with your mom?
Yeah. But I would have tried, and probably wouldn't have been able to get that. So it probably wouldn't have worked.
What else on your mind?
Nothing really.
Hey, let's go.
You hungry?
No, I pizza.
Okay. You go to the water? Did you rest one or anything? I told you to bang on that wall if you need anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bathroom, hungry, water. Cool?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Let me in and I'll talk to you some more. Anything you need to get off your chest?
No.
No?
I'm like Courtney, she's a mental health clinician. Okay. Is it okay if we just talk down, sit down and talk to you for a little bit? Have you eaten and everything? Yeah. Okay. What do they get you to eat? Pizza. Alright. Well, obviously, I mean, just kind of what happened today. I mean, do you want to just tell us what happened kind of in your own words? We'll probably ask you a lot of questions that you've already answered probably 100 times already.
Well, about 2 months ago, I was going to kill myself, but I realized that wouldn't really make a point or anything. So I figured if I'm going to die, might as well do something crazy. And then I decided, first day of school, I'll just shoot some kids in and off myself, but I fired the first shot and one of the teachers came over to me before I could get a second shot off. So I didn't. I only shot one person. I don't know who. I didn't have any real specific targets.
Okay. So you said 2 months ago you've been feeling suicidal?
It started back in 4th grade, but...
4th grade? Okay, well, I mean, what do you think has upset you the most?
I just don't like people.
Okay, and have you, talked to any doctors about that, any psychologists? Or?
No.
No? Okay, so you've never been diagnosed with anything? Did you have a plan on how you wanted to kill yourself, or have you had a few plans, I guess, since the 4th grade?
Just shoot myself is always the one.
Okay, what's the closest you've ever come to that?
Today.
Today? Okay. So you planned, I mean, how many rounds did you have? 21. 21? And you're not sure who the person that you shot was at all? Okay. Okay, what made you decide on today to do this?
First day of school, but I don't know. Just why not?
And did you tell your parents that you felt bad, or have you told anybody that you hate the world? Or? No? None of your friends or anything?
I tell my friends that I hate people, but I've never told anyone that I'm suicidal.
What the heck?
And do you get along with your parents, or anything going on in your family life and upset you at all? Are your parents together, or are they?
They're divorced. They got divorced when I was in 5th grade.
Is there any sort of reason for that, or they just decided?
Just grew apart.
Okay. Do you consider yourself like a pretty violent person at all, or?
I'm not like super violent. Like I don't get in a lot of fights. I kind of stick to myself.
Do you ever like go in the woods and break stuff or anything like that, or you're not like a malicious person or anything like that? No. I'm joking. Maybe what there.
The scratches on your arm, is that something that you do regularly? Is it stress? Is it because you want to hurt yourself?
Just like the way it feels.
How are you feeling now after everything that's happened today?
Same.
So if you had a gun here, you'd try to do the same thing as this morning?
I would probably just kill myself first because it didn't work last time.
Last time you mean today?
Yeah. The teacher can stop me, I'm sure a cop can stop me.
Yeah. Have they told you what's going to happen in the future with all this?
No.
Do you have an idea?
Yeah, the TV. No.
Does that make you feel the same? Just like you don't care?
Yeah.
How many friends do you have up at school?
There's really only 2 kids that I talk to. That's Tyler and Evan.
Tyler and Evan? Okay, and are you doing Facebook and all that stuff?
I don't really use it a lot, but I just happen.
Okay, did you write anything about kind of what was going to happen today on Facebook?
This is the first day of school and the last day of my life. That's it.
And nobody was concerned by that?
I did it right before I did this.
Did you use your phone and text it, or? Okay. Now, about how long had you been thinking about doing this?
It started last year, but I never really thought about it a lot until 2 months ago.
You're saying 2 or 10?
2.
2.
So last year you started thinking about doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything that kind of set that off? Or?
I had a teacher I really didn't like. It's really annoying. So.
Which teacher was it?
Miss Blake.
What was so annoying about her?
She was really, mean. Everyone hated her. She hated all of us.
Wow.
Give me something specific, or... She was really strict. You couldn't do anything. If you got done your work early and you tried to read a book, she would yell at you. You just couldn't.
Okay, was there a specific plan to try to hurt her today?
No.
No?
Not today.
Have you had plans before to try to hurt her?
I never really followed through with any of them, but I thought about it before.
Specifically, what plans did you have?
Just the same as today. Bring a gun, try to shoot her. Shoot more people when it comes.
As a kid, did you ever set fires or hurt animals, something like that? Do you ever hear things that you think other people can't hear, or see things you think other people can't see? No?
Okay. Have you ever gotten close to doing this last year?
No.
When is it you started having access to a gun? Or have you always had access?
My stepdad has a bunch of guns, but he keeps them locked in a safe.
Right.
And I've known my dad has a gun, but I had no idea where it was. But I just found it recently, so I took it.
Okay. Where did you find it at your dad's house?
On top of the dresser.
Was it loaded on the top of the dresser?
No, it was just up there. There were a bunch of bullets in the case.
So the case had the 21 rounds in?
Yeah.
And when you started thinking about doing all this, the other school shootings, did you think about those at all? Or, how did you get the idea to?
I thought about Columbine a little bit, but not much. Didn't really have any effect on me.
Okay, and any of the recent shootings have any effect on you, like the Colorado theater shooting or anything?
No.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, like the saddest you've ever felt, what would you say you feel now?
I'm not really sad.
Well, how would you describe it?
I don't want to kill myself because I'm sad or depressed. It's because I don't like people. I don't see a point in life because you're just going to die and there's nothing after that, I think. So what's the point? And I'd rather just, I don't enjoy it. It's like a script because you get up early every day and go to school, and then you get out of school, you get up early every day and go to work. So I just don't want to do that.
Was there ever a time you didn't feel like that? Like that life was fun or had meaning or?
When I'm with my friends, I had fun, but I never really think there's any meaning.
Okay.
And what do you like to do with your friends?
We just walk around and mess with people. I really don't know how to describe it. We'll walk around shopping centers and we'll just yell random things. Like to play football.
Have you ever been arrested before this? Okay. Any sort of illegal drugs or nothing? Any prescription drugs? No. But alcohol, like any drinking?
I had a little bit of vodka this morning, but not a lot.
About how much is a little bit?
Not that much. There wasn't much in the bottle.
Okay. Do you always drink?
Not always.
Do you sometimes drink before school?
Mm-hmm.
Or today you did it just because, did you know going to school today that you were going to do this? Is that why you took the drink? Or?
Yeah.
And let's say you had used the 21 round, or so the last round you were saving for yourself? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you think about getting any other weapons, or that was just kind